A big part of this wargaming thing is the social aspect. Building, modeling, collecting tactics. Yes, I'm doing my best to win. I'm doing my best to push out some interesting tactica. But at the end of the day, or the beginning of the day, it's sitting down with some friends, rolling some dice, and pushing some models around to create that narrative. And wargaming, along with role-playing games, has been a fantastic way to meet new people, to expand my friendship base, and be part of some amazing communities. Naturally, when you're part of a gaming group, that group, whether it's a big group or a small group, there are certain player personalities that you're going to be drawn to or resonate with, and other player personalities that might want to enjoy the game in a different way. But I do believe in always having that kind of open approach and that inclusiveness on the table. So within that framework, I always try to keep an open mind and ask myself just what is really going on here. And what I mean by that is playing a war game, you at least want to have this feeling like you have a chance. There's many times where I've analyzed the tactica and I know, Fritz, this is a bad idea. They've got the high ground. Charging in is not going to work. But if I get lucky on the dice, don't tell me the odds. If I get lucky on the dice and I pull this off, tabletop immortality, the gods are watching. I've got to do it. I've got to take it. And other times I've played a game where we all have, I made a mistake. I misjudged. I didn't see it, and my opponent took advantage of it. There are also times where different armies, competitive armies versus narrative armies, where I brought a narrative army to play, and the person that wanted to play against me had a rock-solid meta competitive army. I didn't stand a chance, but I understood these things. We want to have that understanding because anytime you feel like you don't have control or you're just sitting there rolling dice, that creates resentment. That creates lack of hobby. That creates tension in a gaming group. So I feel like it's important to understand where the person is coming from to build that community. Now, here's a great example. We're great friends right now. We've been friends for a long time. It was a different time in a different place long ago. This player that was playing Warhammer 40K with us at the time, he was moving his models 7 inches when they moved 6. When it came to the assault phase, miraculously, every unit was like within range. Rolling certain dice, fast rolling. Did you really get all those hits? Maybe, maybe not. Different rule interpretations to the point where my first feeling was being defensive, feeling like, hey, this person's just trying to cheat. They're trying to push something over. And we're not necessarily talking about a competitive game where you're trying to really work up to that fine tape measure line. These were competitive games, but they were narrative games. They were hobby games, and they were just kind of pickup games. And it got to the point where I was really feeling it, and then I took a step back, and I said, well, what's the perspective that's really going on here? Can I step outside of myself and my own narrative and really see what's going on? And what I realized, and I'm thankful that I was able to kind of understand this because it led to an amazing friendship, looking at the approach of the other player. So here we are, a group of us at that time, maybe 10 or 12 of us playing Warhammer 40K for a number of years with a local reputation for proficiency. Let's just say whatever that means. If Way of Samhan means anything, right, that's kind of where we are, where we were at the moment. So this new player joins the group, and right away, they're on the defensive. They feel like they have to prove themselves or earn something in the group, right? They're a young blood, Space Wolf player, and they feel like, hey, I need to step up with this group and be winning. There was something to prove. There was nothing ever to prove. It's 40K. Show up, play, roll some dice. Let's have some fun. You don't need to prove yourself or have some sort of win or loss rate to join the group. You just have to have a love of the game. And then I realized, as things kind of evolved, their enthusiasm, and I've been here with other wargaming systems, their enthusiasm to win was important. Think about this for a moment. You spend all this time building and painting. You've got your army ready. And you have some tactics. You read the rules. You start putting together some tactica. What confirms if you're on the right path or not? Winning, losing. It's very binary. If you win a game consistently, you're doing something right. If you're losing consistently, you got to readjust, regroup, replan, work on the list, get some feedback. So from that perspective, they were anxious to be a proficient player, to win. Their enthusiasm was literally spilling over onto the table, creating a couple of extra inches of movement and some dubious rule implementations with Games Workshop then and now. Not that that's a hard place to be. So once I was able to step back and really approach it from that perspective and honestly just kind of relax for a little bit, chill out for a little bit, it shifted everything. And of course, they have become, since then, long time ago, an amazing 40K player, routinely just destroying me on the table. And we can kind of laugh about it now where it's like, there was nothing ever to prove. And after like a year or two of playing with us, like if anybody had anything to prove, it was my so-called reputation at the time and where I was with the game, let alone this person. So this idea of the hobby narrative, keeping our mind open to the possibility outside of ourselves for that feedback to promote the hobby.